You want to know about English still wine, do you? Well, you come to the right place. Welcome to the Geordie Wine Guide. English sparkling wine seems to get all the glory. They're the wines that you see in the shops and the ones that are winning the awards and all that. But the wines that really caught my attention are the still wines of England. It's not easy to make still wine in England. It's hard to get the ripeness in the grape. So you'll see producers are picking grape varieties that maybe bud a bit later or ripen a bit later so they can get that full ripeness. Another thing is to choose grape varieties that are a bit more hardy to frost and those cold conditions. So you'll see all of these really unusual grape varieties that no one's heard of. So just a general overview, the hallmarks of English white wines, we're talking about really high acid wines. So you can feel it on the sides of your tongue, in your cheeks, your mouth's watering after you've tasted it. So these wines are great with like oysters and a plate of seafood. The wines pair really well with our national cuisine, chips. Fish and chips. So you get grapes like Ortega, Muller, Thurgau and Bacchus that have got these aromatics. So the aromatics jump out the glass, and that's something that you've got in the grape itself. It's like inherent with that grape variety. So all the Bacchus ones normally smell like grass and gooseberries, a bit like Sauvignon Blanc, you can smell that. So the first English wine shout out is for Blackbook. It's an urban winery in Battersea. Not only are the bottles cool as fuck, they actually make wine in this railway arch out of grapes that they've got from like around London. Sometimes they even get grapes in London as well. I just cannot believe it. The guy Sergio makes wine there, he's class. Really good wines, super cool labels, you'll see them. He doesn't need my help to sell his wines, they're class. Next up is Offbeat Wines. These are from Wiltshire. So you know where like Stonehenge is and that, there's wine there, natty wines. All cool labels, hardly any sulphur, hardly any filtering. Some of them have skin contact. They're really good. There are loads of things you can do to beef it up a little bit. So you'll see winemakers using oak. They'll be making use of having wine on its lees, so having all of that dead yeast in contact with the wine to give added flavour and texture. And one really cool thing is the use of amphoras. So you might see clay pots, either freestanding or buried in the ground. The wine is spending a bit of time in there and it's oxygenating the wine and giving it some extra texture and a different dimension. So we're trying to add some extra stuff to like balance out all of that really high acidity that you get on English wines. There's an unbelievable sparkling wine from just near the Isle of Wight. It's made by Charlie Herring Wines. This guy called Tim, right? He's got a walled vineyard. So the wall actually radiates heat back into the vines. Grape varieties Riesling and Sauvignon Blanc. There's Riesling in the south of England. That is just class. But there's only like a couple of hundred bottles of that, so good luck finding that. But just so you know, there's class wine there. There's Tillingham as well. Do you remember Tillingham that I visited a couple of years ago? He's still cool as ever, still making the best wines in the area. This is his one that he makes underfloor, so a veil of yeast. So he's adding all the extra textures from the amphora and all them yeasty, nutty, like sherry-like flavours. That is class. And obviously, he's known for his pet nuts, but we're not talking about pet nuts today. Still got a bottle of his PN there, look at that. Look at all that goodness. One of the coolest bottles of wine I've seen for a long time is this. Look at this, man. It's amazing. Bottle's so cool. They're from Devon. It's actually the first wine I've ever tasted from Devon. It's called Artifact from Castlewood Wines. And it's made out of a grape variety called Bacchus. And you know I like Bacchus so much that I named my cat after the grape variety. She's a bit camera shy, aren't you? Sorry, I'll put you back in your bed. There you are. So Bacchus can be quite a thin and uninspiring grape variety. You typically get like grassy gooseberry flavours with it. But what the guys have done here with this Artifact is they've given it a lot of contact with the lees, so a lot of that yeasty complexity from the dead yeast cells, but also Tuscan amphoras. So it's been fermented and aged in amphoras to get that oxygen in there and to add some extra textures that wouldn't have been there. I like the alcohol level on these wines as well. They're like 10%, so you can really smash them like midweek. Unfiltered, unfined, so all that extra texture there from not filtering has balanced the Bacchus out. So it's got a mega acid that gets in your cheeks and makes your mouth water a lot afterwards, but it's in balance. It's great. The 2018 and the 2020 vintage in England was really good weather. So although we had a really shit year because of COVID, 2020 was actually pretty good weather for growing grapes in England. It's given us this vintage where we've got all the depth and concentration and ripeness, but then we've got that acid that's like classic of English wine to balance it out. So I'm drinking the 2021. Beautiful nose, it's herbaceous, it's got the gooseberry, it smells a bit like an apple skin, it's got this dustiness, it's like a bouquet of flowers. And then the texture of it, it's multi-layered, it's got that mega acid. That is remarkable wine, that. My friend Ellen was like, "You've got to see this wine, man," from Devon. Jumped on it. It was probably a bit more acidic, the 2019 vintage. 2018 and 2020, if you can find English still wines from those vintages, they're going to be class. Like nice balance. Spilt wine on my shirt again. So if you're in your wine shop and you want to be a bit more adventurous, have a look for some English wines. English sparkling, but in particular English still wines, because these are the ones that are on the up at the moment. Big acid, big aromatics, nice outdoorsy smells, herbaceous. You know when you're just walking through the English countryside and you can smell all the hedgerows and the trees and all that. Some of the wines smell like that. See you next time, lads and lasses.